Hey there, everybody. Nick here, doing a test run with this video here. Thought I would do a quick top-down look at the Qs, which I would argue is one of the most important indexes out there. To start off, I'm typically looking at the monthly, and for the most part, I am watching how we took off from this base. So I have kind of an A point set here down towards the COVID lows with a B point up here, C point here. And in the event that we kind of hold this range up here and break out, I would have my D point up in here. In the event that we don't hold this range up here, it's likely that we probably come back into this kind of 330, 320 zone. Bigger picture, I'd be totally even okay if we came back into this kind of, 270, 280s to test the low end of this range, which, anything is possible. All moving averages on the monthly that I pay attention to are pointing up, with the exception of the 18 period moving average. We're just kind of flatlined here, but they are all stacked accordingly, which I like to see. Dropping down into the monthly is where I typically start to measure moves out a little bit more. So on the weekly, I'd be looking at this range from 388 down to, let's just say, 354, which is about a 30-point range. And again, if we don't hold this low here, I'm going to assume that we're going to move in a symmetrical fashion downwards, which would be about 30 points. That would kind of put us in line here with the 30 and the 40-week period moving average, along with this kind of pivot high here. I don't look at this pivot high here as too much with too much weight. I think we have a much stronger floor kind of in this range down here, right around 300. But either way, on the flip side, if we hold here, I would just extend that 30-point move to the top side. So on the near term, I think we have a 30-point range in either one direction or the other. We either hold here and our measured move would be up around 410, 420, testing the all-time highs back over here, or heading down. Whether if we do break down here, it could be something fast and violent, or just kind of up pussyfooting around and grind down. I just would expect there to be some volatility, shenanigans, whatever you want to call it, down towards the 200 day. I think there's going to be a lot of there'll definitely be a battle in that zone, in my opinion. We're going to flip down to the daily. Pardon me. All right, coming down to the daily. I'd be taking a much closer look at this range, and I typically am a little bit more conservative with my measured moves down on the daily time frame, as opposed to like the weekly or the monthly. For instance, in this case, I would be measuring, basically 380 to, let's just say, almost, I would even call it 360, which would be a 20-point range versus 30. I do that so that I am forced to take profits and take some off the table when those measured moves are hit. I don't always want to be waiting until the actual measured move gets hit. A lot of times they are in already existing areas of either overhead supply or demand lower. Looking at this daily chart, interestingly, we have this gap, basically 331 up to whatever we have, 340. the measured move on this range to the downside would put us right in line with that gap, which from what I'm seeing and based on this kind of heavy sell volume within this range, we had some heavy volume coming into the lows. That gap didn't get filled. My tune would have been a little softer. I would have been leaning towards this level holding had this gap been filled by either Friday or Thursday. But we'll see what happens on Monday. If we got a gap higher and we gapped up above these two bars, we could consider that an island bottom. Use that as a pretty easy level to gauge risk. And I think that's all I really got for you. Same thing on the daily. Whether we break this range to the top side or the downside, I'm just measuring the move out based on the width of this range. Longer term, if we decided that we wanted to hold this and break out, I would also measure a leg from here to here and kind of extend that out that way for a little bit of a longer term trade. But anyways, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know how I just lost all my lines. Well, either way, you guys have a great Sunday, and we'll catch you on the podcast tomorrow.